What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Gaming Channel. My name's AJ Gels. How y'all doing? We are going to be starting Ghostwire Tokyo. This is the Prelude, or Prelude, however you want to pronounce it, the corrupted case file. If you're watching on the playlist for this series, I think I'm going to put this at the very start of the playlist, because technically this is events that happened before the main game of Ghostwire Tokyo, but I'm covering this now because, frankly, I just have not been in the mood to sit and read out a visual novel-style game, which is what this is. This is about, I've heard, about a 45-minute to an hour long kind of like visual novel prelude, kind of give some context as to what's happening. This came out, I want to say, a few days before Ghostwire Tokyo dropped. One of my biggest issues with Ghostwire Tokyo is I think that the fact that there is not a lot of context to what's going on in the game. So, I don't know, maybe this would make me feel a little better, even though I still have an issue with the fact that even if you released this before the main game, you still released it in another project altogether. It's not part of the main game. That frustrates me a little bit. You know, it's like with Star Wars, where people are like, oh, you didn't understand this in the new trilogy? Well, if you went and read the visual, I think what they're calling them like visual dictionaries, or all this like stuff that came out in book form, you know, well, if you read that, well, it would explain what happened in the movies. No, if I'm watching a trilogy of movies, the movies should be contained within themselves, and I can go to this other stuff to get maybe some background information or what's going on elsewhere in the world, not what's going on in the main plot. That frustrates me, but whatever. Rinko. God damn it, Rinko. Erika? No one wants to talk about it, but it's all that's on anyone's mind these days. Mysterious things are happening all around Shibuya. Sightings, attacks, disappearances, fear. How's a kid supposed to be a kid in a time like this? But honestly, Ryota never really was like most kids. He's not usually glued to his phone all day. Ryota's concerns bring him to a mysterious case file posted online. It's titled, The Kirigaoka Vanishing. He reads it to himself the best he can. Having tracked another report of dark fog to the area, I arrived to find it had passed, leaving dreary rain hanging over the neighborhood. Now we know KK has had a son, so if I'm just taking a shot in the dark here, I'm going to guess this is KK's son. At the scene, all we found were the clothes of a mother and son left behind like two molted cicada shells. It's hard to even imagine a parent and her child just gone. Precious lives snuffed out forever. My heart sank knowing that I had failed to protect them. It was the worst feeling I'd ever felt. As if on cue, the rain started pouring down. Heavier and heavier it fell with each passing minute, but I couldn't be bothered to take out my umbrella. That's when the obvious culprits returned to the scene of the crime, a group of monsters. They had umbrellas of their own, as if rain followed them wherever they go. I was furious. I brought hell down onto them at the very moment. They tried to protect themselves with the umbrellas, but I just kept pounding on them until they were battered and broken. I was so exhausted I could have fallen over at any minute, but my utter wrath kept me going. As I picked up to leave, I still refused to open my own umbrella. I just walked away, rain pouring and soaking me to the bone. KK. Ryota's concerns bring him to a mysterious case file posted online. It's titled, he reads it to himself the best he can. Wait a minute, didn't we just read this? Oh, okay. So I control which one I'm reading, okay. Unable to shake the idea that monsters are all around him, Ryota navigates on his phone to a document called The Marunouchi Vanishing. The language is complicated, but he works to understand it. It says, I got a tip on a missing woman from Marunouchi. When you've been a detective as long as I have, you tend to build up a big network of contacts. The story my contacts told me was that they saw the woman one day when the fog rolled in. It blanketed the area, and then poof, she was gone. Times like these make me wish a certain somebody was around. Come to think of it, the fog and these disappearances set the scene for when I first met the rest of my crew. Everybody kept talking about folks just up and disappearing, and I thought it was a load of horseshit. It wasn't until I met them, and until my encounter, that I believed. Ever since then, I've been haunted by what I would have once called hallucinations. Turns out being able to see spirits and monsters isn't fantasy movie nonsense after all. Guess I should be thankful, because otherwise I wouldn't have seen through that monster taking the form of a woman. She made a bunch of red orbs appear that chased me around, but I knew so long as I didn't let myself get surrounded, I'd be okay. She was a nightmare to look at, so I put her out of her misery. When I searched the scene, I spotted a woman's handbag, found the missing lady's ID cards in there. Then I came across some clothes that looked like they would have been hers. They were in a little pile, but the way they had fallen made it clear her body had just vanished. No mistaking whose handiwork it was either. I'd finally managed to get my hands on a solid enough lead to work with. KK. Okay, so the first one are the I always just call them the rainwalkers, the guys with the umbrellas. The second one are the more ranged, focused, kind of like faceless women. Again, if I remembered the name of the enemy types in the game, maybe I'd remember, but in these posts, the kid had found something, or rather someone called KK has been looking into monsters in this part of town, a believer just like Ryota. Social media would never lie. Sure. And that means KK is an expert. Maybe the expert in all things paranormal. There's only one thing left to do. Having pored over every story, post, and grainy photo about local monsters he could find, Ryota prepares to take action. I'm gonna ask this KK guy to help. I just gotta figure out where he lives first. Hello, knock off Google. Ghostwire Tokyo, that's cute. Dear Mr. Investigator Person. Dear Mr. Investigator Person, hello, how are you? I'm not good and I need your help. Monsters got my best friend Sosuke. Rinko sits up in her chair. She's zeroed in on okay, one more time. She's zeroed in on one of a dozen monitors from across a makeshift command center stuffed into the cramped Tokyo apartment. If it's not clear, no, I am not a professional voice actor, obviously. Sometimes I read a little too fast, or I start speaking faster than I'm reading. It causes some issues. It happened near the manhole. Please help me get him back. Data flies across the screen, seemingly too much. Charts and graphs, maps and mathematical equations, even social media feeds and open case files. Somehow, though, all of the screens and all of the clutter, Ryota's message catches Rinko's eye. Sounds desperate, but it could just be some bored kid trolling us. Calm and confident, Rinko insists on balancing compassion with skepticism in her analytical approach. On the other hand, that manhole is within the vicinity of several recent incidents. Maybe he is involved. She knows what she thinks, but she also knows no one can protect Tokyo all by themselves. Trusting your teammates is the only way to keep everyone safe. What do you make of it, Ed? Oh, so this is... I pictured Ed with, like, crazier, like, red hair. Kind of like Beaker. I don't know why, but that's how I pictured him. Ed squints and takes a single deep breath as he turns to the screens. He has something to say, but holds it back. Technology is easy. People are hard. Instead of speaking up, he places a small recorder on his desk. He presses play, and as the audio begins to roll, Ed turns and walks away. Now, I thought about maybe trying to do an English accent. No, I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. I've heard intriguing stories about so-called manhole girls, that sounds dirty, in Japan. Vengeful ghosts of bullied students said to trick other children into following them into the sewers, from where they never return. If any information turns up about such anomalies, I'd be keen to investigate. Though I speak purely out of personal interest, it might not be enough to make the rest of my team pursue it without further evidence. Okay, safe to say, since you somehow found the time to record something this specific about a single urban legend that you want to look into, and is already engrossed in other work, he doesn't respond. He certainly doesn't notice, even when Rinko rolls her eyes. He rarely does. Probably best we have no... Probably best we have no idea how you spend your free time, huh, Ed? Etika's been sitting next to Rinko this entire time, listening and waiting for the right time to chime in. This time. Want me to check it out? I don't think so, Etika. Could be dangerous. What if something happens to you? Is there no sound in this? Okay, no, it's... Okay. I think the thing I want to do is I want to... crank up the background music a little bit. There we go. So at least you can kind of hear something other than just my voice. Seriously, you still don't trust me to go out by myself for 5 minutes in the middle of the day? I mean, the main game is pretty loud. I'm surprised that they had this be so quiet. At just 16 years old, Rinko might be right not to trust Etika on something dangerous. But Rinko knows that Etika has shown a maturity beyond her years. She gives Etika an almost sisterly look of skepticism. You know it's not that. Rinko quickly turns back to her monitors and away from Etika. But for all her maturity, Etika can't quite keep from pouting. Stop making that face. Besides, we've got our very own private detective in the vicinity already. I'll have him take a look. You know, I've been calling KK that he was a detective, or maybe I've been saying cop, but I guess I heard detective and my brain immediately says cop. I might have been wrong this entire time. He was just a PI, so to speak. So maybe I've been totally wrong this whole time. I'll admit that. The stall is brimming as a wide array of customers eat in relative silence. The only sound they make is the slurping of their noodles. The silence breaks when a phone begins to vibrate upon the countertop. The owner ignores it, choosing to focus on his meal instead. The phone doesn't care about his hunger and continues to vibrate. The phone wins. The peace and solitude have shattered. This is no way to enjoy noodles. God damn it. The silent diner finally glances at the screen. He begins to mutter to himself. Another case. These people have me working harder than my enemies ever did. Can't even get 5 minutes to enjoy a nice quiet lunch. There we go. Let me guess. I'll be risking life and limb. That why you let it ring so long? Too scared to pick up? You know the exact day I stopped being scared of anything. The day you stopped being a loner and hooked up with us, so we could have your back. Sure, that works. Besides, I'm not full enough to pretend. I'm not full enough to pretend this team isn't half okay. If you need backup, you know I'll be there. No questions asked. I actually already volunteered, but right now, there's nothing dangerous to be worried about. It's a simple check-in on a report of some suspicious activity that might be connected to these phenomenon we've been looking into. It's always the simple cases that go south the fastest. You know what? You're right. Maybe Etika should run point on this one. Sure, she's just a kid, but you're busy, so... Whoa, hold up. Let's not sacrifice the rookie to make me look bad. I'm already out. Send me the info and I'll get on it. First, though, I need to talk to one of you about something. You know what? On second thought, I've heard everything I need. Just point me in the right direction. Ah, shit. Can I... Oh, wow. Ryota doesn't notice the people passing him on the street. They don't notice him either. He is young, but he's very much alone. Okay, so, just kind of breaking away here for a second. I guess I've been under a misinterpretation about KK's team. He kept saying team and team and team, and I've always assumed he was part of some maybe government agency, but it sounds like, no, they're just... he's a PI, and they're just kind of like his support team who worked with him on his endeavors into the supernatural. At least I think. This is what I've been talking about all the way through this series, and now I'm starting to think, you know what? I'll probably put this video where, you know, in chronological order along with everything in the playlist, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff I've learned from the series. So, I guess It's going to be in the middle somewhere, and that's just going to be weird. Whatever, we're Tarantinoing this. Back to my point. This has been my frustration with this game, is it's not laying out a lot of this world-building stuff for us. They have the perfect, I've said this so many times, they have the perfect audience surrogate. They have Akito. Akito knows nothing about the supernatural world, knows nothing about KK and his team. We've interacted a shitload with Rinko, interacted with Ed. We've learned about Erika. For the love of God, KK could explain to Akito what they were doing, what their role was. He was a PI. They were my support team. This is what everybody's roles were. Am I saying they have to say, sit down and let me tell you a story, this, in a spreadsheet? No, because that would be bad storytelling. Would I prefer it over not having any information? I always say yes. I always prefer that style of information over nothing. But sure, you can do it a lot more naturally. I still have an issue with it's not there. Even this is providing a little more context. I'm like, okay, I was misunderstanding something in the main game just based on my assumption, based on the word choice. But I have an issue with the fact that I have an issue, though, that at no point is anything really being sat down and dug into. It bugs me. I don't know. Maybe that dialogue tree that I totally skipped by on accident would have explained something. If so, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Ryota doesn't notice the people passing him on the street. They don't notice him either. He is young, but he's very much alone. His focus is centered on a small bit of paper in his hands. After a couple of folds, the paper finds a familiar configuration. Oh, it's a Katashiro. With a head, arms, and body, it takes shape. A palm-sized person stands in his hands. As Ryota inspects his creation, someone who has been observing him from afar steps out of the shadows. What do you got there? Ryota looks up. He's nervous, but clutches the paper doll in his hands to stay brave. He's not running or holding, despite the gruff stranger staring at him. Okay, so not his kid. All right. I had that initial assumption, but now, yeah, as this has been going on, yeah, I've been figuring out, yeah, it's not his kid. No need to be afraid. I'm not here to do anything bad to you or your little friend. Got to admit, I'd been known to carry the odd paper doll with me on investigations. Strange habit, I know. But you get the benefits of a partner without the annoying small talk. Ryota's shoulders ease. He lets his guard down as he listens to the detective and re-examines the folded paper. The detective surprises himself with his playful tone. He's rusty, but he somehow still feels comfortable talking to the scared kid. Sometimes paper dolls are used for magical purposes. You a sorcerer by chance? Now's the time to tell me. So you really are him, huh? Gonna have to be more specific, kid. You're KK, the ghost hunter from the files. You must be. I just thought you'd be taller. They say you solve strange mysteries. Right? KK. Maybe. The detective looks closely at Ryota's phone. He sees the social media posts featuring photos of various case files he has worked on, collected in one place. Look, I only used those initials because writing out my name is a pain, and I got too much pain already. Not your problem, right? Anyhow, that's me, KK. But I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm a detective. KK's demeanor hardens a bit, dropping the playfulness. You wanted an investigator, kid. Well, you got one. I'm so glad. You're going to look into the disappearances at the manholes? Here's the thing. I already did. Made some calls on the way here. There's no record of any recent disappearances. I still got a few friends on the force, so I can dig up dirt quick. Oh, okay, there we go. He's got friends on the force, so maybe he was a cop before a PI. I don't fucking know. Again, I've already gone on the rant. Explain shit to me, please. KK shoots Ryota a serious look. Not trying to pull a fast one on me, are you, kid? It's true. Honest, my buddy Sosuke disappeared. He hasn't come home since yesterday. Last place I saw him was right back here. Ryota motions to the alleyway behind him. He went down that way. I tried to follow, but I couldn't find him. He was completely gone. If Ryota is bluffing, he's an incredible liar. A sadness comes over him when he looks back toward the alley. KK looks back and forth from the kid, then the alleyway behind him. All alleys are dark, but this one looks like it's never seen daylight. See any fog when that happened? The moment he disappeared? Now that you mention it, there has been something spooky around, like a kind of fog or darkness, but it came then went. Alright. KK mutters something to himself as he eyeballs the alley behind Ryota. Nothing looks immediately out of place. With so much going down in this city, some kid getting lost doesn't exactly seem like front page news. Yeah, let's press for more info. I need more to go on, kid. Why are you so convinced he was taken? Didn't happen to anyone else around here. But it did happen to my best friend. Sosuke's been missing for 2 whole days. Everyone has been looking, but no one can find him. What about his parents? Have they filed a police report? I'm the only one who really cares about Sosuke. I know he needs me. And no one else is even looking for him anymore? Just me. He's lucky to have you. It's like when you saw crows circling above the building in one of the cases you investigated. You knew there was more to it than everyone else. Well, Mr. KK, I know there's more to Sosuke's disappearance. I just need you to help. Really did your homework. I'm impressed. You're more dedicated than most adults I know. You remind me of my friend Erika. She lost someone too, and she'll never stop fighting for them either. KK takes another glance at the alley. Alright, show me exactly where the Sosuke pal of yours disappeared. Ryota perks up. There we go. So you're gonna look into it? I'm here, ain't I? Let me check in with my team, see if they figured anything out. Can save us some time. KK reaches for his phone. What's up? We're all here. I just need a quick word with one of you to follow up on what the kid has told me. Erika, you're a natural when it comes to intuition. What does your gut tell you? I can feel something out there for sure. Something that threatens good people. Something that he would embrace. The details aren't clear. I can only see the shadows of a vision. But that's not important. I know it's him. I know we need to act. Right now. Nothing else matters. We can't let another child disappear. Another family get torn apart. You need to help him. There's still time. You know, kid, you're stronger than you have any right to be. And you got the scars to prove it. If we don't look out for people like Ryota and Sosuke, who will? This is our mission. Ryota, it's time to find Sosuke. Nothing looks out of place, but things are rarely what they seem. KK slowly but deliberately reaches his hands out. He's not holding on to anything, but you would think that he is by the way he's moving. Like he's got something invisible dangling from his fingertips. I'm gonna guess it's a sutra or talisman. There we go. Ryota has no clue what he's trying to do, but he watches closely. However, what happens next can only be seen by KK's eyes. As KK opens his fingers, a sparkling orb of energy drops from his hand onto the ground. It ripples like water in a still pond, energy flowing outwards into the world. Oh, it's his spiritual vision. There we go. That's what it's called in the game. A strange trail floats into view as though a spirit has passed through this place. Psychic energy. The trail leads further on, deeper into the alley and out of view. Guess he went that way. Puzzled, Ryota follows KK's eyeline down the alley, but sees nothing out of the ordinary. What happened? I don't see anything. Trust me, kid. It's good you can't see it. This is a power you don't want. And you're too young for it, to take a risk like that and change your life forever. The world's a scary place. It keeps getting worse. We're gonna find your friend and get you back to your life. KK and Rinko are in big trouble this time, running like rats, desperate to stay alive, with only a dingy old sofa between them and monsters. We better find another exit. Rinko turns to KK and sees him holding his head. He appears to be in great pain. Damn, it's happening again. Your body's reacting to the ether. As KK looks at the room, his vision begins to break in half. He tries to focus, but rather than reform, everything continues to split apart even further. Another hallucination. The world is breaking in two. That'd be crystallized ether, another form of matter. Sounds like your body has entered the final stage of affinity. From thin air, like phantoms, these horrific visitors appear, surrounding KK and Rinko. Damn, we're surrounded. Mr. KK? Are you okay? Huh? Sorry, kid. My mind can be a little hard to control. You just kind of stood there for a little while. Sometimes my memories take me places. I hate to leave you alone again, but you need to wait here while I look for your pal. Sit tight. I won't be long. A report on Rinko's computer setup flashes on screen. Ed's monitoring software has a hold of something big. Excuse me. The results are clear. Spiritual residue. And it's exactly at KK's location. What is it now? We just received an alert. There was a massive surge of spiritual energy at your location. Hold off on pursuing until we're able to send support. Can't wait forever for you guys. We might have a missing child on our hands. We got plenty of evidence. I know what I'm getting myself into. Remember, saving more lives is the only thing that matters. Etika feels it. I feel it. Hell, you don't need an affinity to know that life is circling the drain out there. Fighting back's all we got. I want to be there and help you myself, but I understand why you can't wait any longer. But just know you're my inspiration to keep going, like you did. I mean, do. Etika's inspiration can get you killed if you're not careful. Passion is nothing without strategy. It's not fair to ask us for help when you think you need us, then use your own words against us when you're too impatient to act as a team. We're in this together. KK decides to address one team member specifically to make his case. Well, if we're going to make some sort of like logical case, I'd say it would be Ed that we need to convince. The hunger I have to solve this case is as good as any science experiment you could conduct to get to the bottom of it. Ed, how many times have my instincts been proven right by all your high-tech gadgetry? And that's not something I keep tally of. The purpose of my work isn't to prove you're right. But it happens all the time. I'm out on the streets, pressing into darkness, trusting my instincts. I can't be waiting for you all to download a software update. I feel like you're trivializing my work a bit. Of course, I'm extremely thankful when I can assist you, but my primary goal as a scientist and a paranormal investigator is much greater than any individual day-to-day goals. And that's exactly my point. We all need to focus on what we do best, and what I do best is not wait around. We can all agree that you're not good at that. I must say, I quite admire your grit, and I do not envy the stress that a city like Tokyo must place on a detective who just wants to do his job. However, I would remind you, in nature a lone wolf typically isn't alone for long. They are alone only until they find a new pack, or became prey themselves. It may be factually correct, but sure as hell takes the coolness out of it. I can't disagree with that. Just try and act cool in the most responsible way possible. Our pack is stronger with you in it. I'll talk to you later. I'm in the middle of an investigation. He never was any good at following people's directions. That attitude of his is precisely what saved our hides on countless occasions. You don't think I realize that? Etika smiles, thinking about KK's attitude. It doesn't bother her. Damn, they're everywhere. KK's eyes dart between the two horrific figures and to some incredibly strange glowing crystals that hover nearby. As he tries to speak, KK wheezes painfully. Rinko, what would happen if somebody tried to touch one of those ether crystals? Your guess is as good as mine. Might give you the power to fight back. Might just make you even more miserable, who can say? What about him? Did it grant him strength? Rinko nods silently. After getting his answer, KK, without hesitation, stretches his hand out towards the crystals. Wait, stop! Stopping's not an option. Not for any of us. You don't know what will happen. It could kill you. And those things won't. We're dead if we don't try something. We aren't out of options yet. You've thrown away everything to fight these monsters. Same as me. There's not a good thing left to lose at this point. Before Rinko can say anything else, KK reaches all the way out. Okay, so this is how he got his ability to manipulate ether to do the ether weaving. I'd still like an explanation as to how the ether weaving, like when Akito runs out of ether, it looks like a digital watch saying out of power when you try and cast more. I still want that explanation. But, okay, at least now we understand that it wasn't a natural power. It wasn't, as far as I can tell, it wasn't really a trained power. If I'm going off of what this is kind of telling us, it was kind of it was a shot in the dark that would work to save his ass. KK follows the trail of psychic energy deeper into the dark Shibuya alleyway, away from the glow of familiar streetlights and vending machines. His venture into the unseen brings him to a manhole cover where the spirit residue flashes with an eerie intensity. The spot is clearly the origin point for whatever spirit is at the center of this mystery. They take you this way, Sosuke? KK looks around again and, finding nothing, focuses his attention on this haunted manhole. The spectral vision shows KK a lot more than he thought it might, revealing a glowing specter hovering in this dark, dreary place, the spirit of a man in his 30s. A jibakure, according to Japanese lore, this type of spirit is trapped in a physical location. Okay, Spectre, what's keeping you tied down here? The Spectre seems unable to answer him. Instead, he mutters as if distracted or perhaps completely delirious. Either or, maybe both. Spectres aren't especially concerned with politeness or clarity. Neither of us is going away until I get some answers. I need to know, what are you doing here, specifically at this manhole cover? Why haunt this place? I thought it was a kid. Just a kid playing around, just having fun. Alone. I wanted to make sure he was safe. So just being neighborly, eh? Yes. No. Not making a friend. Protecting. But he wasn't. It wasn't a kid, though, was it? There was something else. Something lurking in these shadows. Did I die? I think I died. But this isn't what I expected. What was it? Monster. A monster. The Spectre points downwards. Underneath, huh? KK stares at the manhole as though if he just looks hard enough, he'll suddenly see what lurks in the darkness beneath its cover. He doesn't have to see the Spectre nod to know he's right. It went that way. Before he can pull up the manhole cover to see for himself, a long shadow creeps from the edge of the alleyway. Did you find anything? Snooping around is detective business. You don't belong back here. I thought I heard you talking to someone. Who is this youngster? Only I can hear you, so don't bother. Only you can hear me. Only you can hear me? Well, sure, nobody else is even here. This is turning into a damn clown show. Kid, I need you to stay here while I go down. It's not safe for you here. Or not safe for you there, excuse me. Not safe. Not safe. Monster. How do you know I'll be safe up here? My team's one call away. They'll get here quick if you're in danger. Weren't you just saying something about being in the middle of an investigation and too busy to talk to anyone? Funny you should mention that. I could actually use some help. I believe they call it client services. Who are you calling, mister? Are they nice like you? Or nicer? Probably nicer. Client services? Sounds more like babysitting to me. If only you would just wait for us to get there. We play the hand we're dealt, and juggling work and children has never been my strong suit. Need a little support. Rinko sighs, a long, tired sigh of a frustrated person who knows that in the end, of course, they'll help. She'll always help him, just as he will always help her. And I have the perfect candidate in mind. Etika, she's the only kid I actually know and like anymore. Hey, KK, you need my help? I can be there ASAP. I do need your help, but it can wait. My new friend Ryota, the one who called us for help, is he a little afraid of you? What? No. Why would you think that? I mean, yeah, maybe a little. But no, that's not it. Although it'd be better if he did fear me, then I could do my work. No. Yeah, you aren't really that scary. I think I get it. Let me talk to him. KK hands his phone to Ryota and motions for him to accept the call. Yes? Is this Mr. Ryota? Yes? I'm so excited that I get to speak with you. I've heard that you are quite the investigator. I need help from someone like you. What could I do to help you? Well, a friend who is there with you, he actually has 2 missions. Since he's looking for your friend, maybe you could swap and look for my friend. If we share the responsibility, I'm sure that we can achieve success together as a team. I suppose I could try to help you since he is helping me. Okay, but first, can you keep a secret? It's very important and related to this mission. Yeah, I'm the best at secrets. I won't tell you how I know that, but it's true. My friend is a cat. I put a tracker on her collar that says she's near you, in the alley by your house. I miss her dearly. I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, but some of my best friends are animals. Your secret is safe with me. What does she look like? She's all black with one white spot and a few white whiskers. Her name is Monet. Monet? I don't know. Like the paint. Yeah, Monet. Like the painter. And she really likes to hide. Can you look closely in between and behind all the vending machines and trash cans? Just to be safe, text me a picture of every dark corner you can find. She's very good at camouflage and easy to miss. I'll find your friend. Ryota hands the phone back to KK and turns his attention to the nearest trash can. Phone out, he seems to be inspecting each side of it. Lucky for you, your new buddy is an animal lover just like me. I've given him a rescue mission to find a missing cat and send me a photo of it. What if he succeeds? Tons of strays here. He might actually bump into one. I could always use more cat pics texted to me, and maybe he'll give it a home that it needs. Win-win. Now to get down and find your pal, Sosuke. Dirty water splashes under KK's feet as he makes his way through the still darkness of Shibuya's sewers. The further he goes, the darker it gets, but not because of any change in light. No, this darkness is unnatural. In fact, it's not darkness at all. It's tangible. Dense fog made of spiritual energy fills the air. Toxic paranormal waste coats the ground and plugs the drains. But the air itself is rejecting him. The corruption flows between worlds and reaches around him, blocking KK's way. How long has it been building up, right below our feet? Is it like this everywhere? As KK goes deeper, the Kagare, I don't know, hopefully that's how that's pronounced, only increases. There's definitely something here. If there's this much corruption swirling around, nothing I can't handle, though. Alone in the darkness, KK summons his powers and... Okay. And up. There we go. I was bad at that when I had to do it in Okami. I'm bad at it now. Cleanses the corruption, returning the sewer to its normal state. That's better, minus the stink. With the Kagare now cleared, as if they were waiting for a moment of safety, someone appears. Sosuke? Is that you? The small boy avoids KK's look, turning his back and picking at something in the wet ground. Splish splash, splish splash. Hey, you, kid, you okay? Can you hear me? Are you hiding from something? Take a bath, take a bath. Come on, kid, this isn't the time or place. Answer me. I'm not trying to scare you, but you gotta work with me here. In the vast darkness of the sewer, the sound of KK's phone suddenly rings out, the tiny chime echoing back and forth around in the hollow space. The small boy in the raincoat doesn't seem to notice. He must be very preoccupied. I'm close. I found Sosuke, but I'm worried he won't. Muffled sounds. Down so far, the signal to KK's phone is barely holding on. He can only make out a few sounds and struggles to make out the words they might be forming. Hello, anybody there? Rinko, is that you? Ed, Erika, who is this? We haven't talked to Rinko yet. Rinko, can you hear me? Are you there with Ryota? Can you ask him? Was Sosuke wearing a yellow raincoat? The scratchy connection makes it almost impossible to understand. Sosuke, it's about Sosuke? Not Rinko, I can't understand you. Sosuke is not what? Not Sosuke. The call cuts out, the phone going dead in KK's hand. Damn. Enough screwing around, Sosuke. Just like that, finally, as if called by his mother to come to dinner, the child responds. He stands up and turns to KK with his dead, evil eyes. You're not Sosuke. You're the monster. KK raises his hand and calls forth an energy that he discovered that day, long ago. The day he found his back against the wall, reaching out and touching the ether crystal. Ever heard of ethereal weaving monster? Energy surges into KK's hand, green light winding and glowing, charging around his fingertips. The increasingly bright light glows, illuminating the tunnel. And in that moment, standing in the center of the tunnel, we can see this monster, this raincoat visitor, just in time for it to press a child's whistle to its mouth, and... at a stranger's fingertips lies KK, now a prisoner. I need my subject to remain calm, or else nothing will get done. Despite being captive, KK flashes the stranger a fierce glare. You son of a bitch. Hello, my new friend. I'm keen to see how useful your vessel turns out to be. The stranger takes something out and holds it in his hand. An amulet, though clearly not simply for decoration. It surges with power. He looks from the amulet and back to KK and smiles. As the monstrous little raincoat visitor blows his whistle, he steps back into the shadowy darkness. Running away, huh? But he's not running away at all. In fact, he's only making space for two much larger, far more horrifying visitors to show up and challenge KK. I've been waiting to run into you again. Let's go, you bastards. Shield. Yeah, let's go with wind. This is interesting. I didn't expect the combat or something here. One umbrella visitor is injured. An umbrella visitor attacks. A barrier appears in front of KK. An umbrella visitor attacks, but its attack is deflected by the barrier. The barrier is broken. The umbrella visitors are frozen in place. Only one stun talisman is left. Awakens from the stun. Just keep shooting. Okay, that's kind of cool. The fight now over, the sewer is oddly calm again. KK sweeps the space, looking for any clues that may be left behind. Why would a pack of monsters manifest their evil here? And then he sees it, affixed to one wall of the tunnel. A wooden tag, sometimes called a kifuda. This must be what summoned those things. KK reaches out and takes the Kifuda down, but as his fingertips approach it, Rinko? God damn it, Rinko! Etika? KK feels a big, quick thump through his body. When he looks down, he sees someone else's arm stabbing through his chest. It's horrifying. Black smoke rushes out of his body. Looking back up, KK sees a man wearing a Hanya mask. You're... There we go. There's my best gasp. As KK comes to, he realizes that he's still in the tunnel once again. No, still. He looks at his chest. It's totally fine. No gaping hole, not even a scratch. Sweating, breathing heavy, his mind races. It was a horrible dream. Maybe a vision? He grips the Kifuda in his hand. I won't let him get away with this. So hard that it smashes into pieces. At that moment, KK realizes he's not actually alone. Distracted by his fury, he had missed the approach of someone new. Who's there? Surprised, he spins to face the entity, but before he can raise his other hand... KK emerges from the tunnel to find Ryota awaiting the rest of the team. You made it. Of course I did. You weren't too worried. It's good to see you in the welcoming party. It's embarrassing to admit it, but I actually was starting to get a little worried. Rinko and Ed's monitoring system was off the charts. All kind of activity around here. And then when we got here, you were gone and didn't come right back up. It was a long few minutes of trying to play it cool. If I lost you, what would I have left? Not very much, I'm afraid. There are plenty of things in your life more worthy than me. That's just it, I guess. I am being selfish, I think. When I see you, when I think about everything you've been through, I know that we're similar people. Except you're much stronger. If you didn't survive, how could I ever? Maybe we're not totally the same on the surface or whatever. Not at all the same. But the loss that you've experienced deep down. If anyone could possibly understand, it's you. Please, Etika, don't focus on me. Sure, I came back this time, but it could have gone the other way. It's hard to explain to someone young like you, who's been through so much but has their whole life ahead of them. You've got to live for yourself. Can't help anyone else's situation till you get control of your own. I know your heart, it may be broken, with what your father did to your family, and I'll never forgive him, but those broken pieces are in the right place. You need to be strong for yourself. Then you can stand beside me and Rinko and Ed, and we can put our lives on the line for the people we love together. And even then, things are going to be fine. Just you wait and see. Safely above ground, reunited with his team, KK turns his attention to the original source of all this drama, his young client, Ryota. You were never going to tell me, were you? Sosuke isn't your best friend. He's your dog. He's my dog and my best friend. KK steps back nervously as Sosuke tries to jump into his lap, tail wagging. Oh, calm down. He just wants to be pet. Jeez. Who would have thought that such a tough-as-nails former detective... Okay. Is he a... If he's a I hate the way they use the word detective so fast and loose. So he is a former police detective, I assume. But he's also a private investigator, or also a private detective. Because they use it one way to mean, oh, it's just, he's an investigator, a detective. It doesn't mean he was a cop. And now they say former detective in what I'm assuming means former cop. I hate the way they're using that word. It could be a translation thing, but it bugs me. Something phobia about dogs. Don't have to broadcast it, alright? Don't be scared. Sosuke loves everyone. Maybe he should draw the line at loving monsters and following them into the sewer. Ryota hugs his dog and gets a face full of licks in response. KK relaxes slightly, seeing how harmless this little dog is, but still keeps some distance. Thank you so much for bringing him home safely, Mr. KK. Mr. KK. Oh, what an adorable alias. When exactly did you start going by this new short nickname, KK? I suppose it has a fun ring to it. Not quite so formal as your full name, Before we get too sidetracked, as the lead investigator on this one, you've got some paperwork to do, KK. Not sure what's worse, fighting monsters or filling out all these damn forms. It's obvious that you prefer the fighting to paperwork. KK scribbles out a few quick lines, only Ed can read them. Hey kid, this is for you. Oh, is it a prize for helping you find that ghost? Almost. It's the bill. Ryota's face sinks as he's left holding the check. Lucky for you, today's work is pro bono. That means free. Consider this your receipt. I'm feeling generous right now. Ryota looks closely at the paper in his hand. It says, "The case of the cursed manhole extermination complete. KK." Leaning in over his shoulder, Rinko lets out an uncharacteristically loud burst of laughter. Oh, now I get it. You didn't choose the nickname KK. Sloppy paperwork chose it for you. There's a lot in this life that we don't get to choose. Call me whatever you like. Not like I've got any use for a real name these days. Definitely not one of my old names. Doesn't matter what anyone calls me so long as I find that bastard. KK's gaze looks fierce, as though he's recalling a bitter past. Reflected in his eyes is Ryota, who looks pleased to have received KK's autograph. KK's expression softens up in response. That said, I guess KK's not so bad. Oh, okay, that was all? And it was cute and everything, but... Okay. See, I get why they don't want to talk about the Hanya in this one too terribly much, as much as his connection to... And I'm going to drop some spoilers or whatever, because like I said, I decided I'm not going to put this at the beginning of the playlist. I'm going to put it where it's uploaded. So, to me, it doesn't... I get it. Before the release, they didn't want to release Etika's connection to the Hanya and everything, but with this Prelude, I wanted more. I expected them to go into the backstory, into the world building. No, we just got to see them in this cutesy little, oh, we're helping somebody, to kind of explain what him, Rinko, Ed, and Etika were all doing. Okay. Yeah, it gives us a little more context, but why does KK hate the Hanya? I'm gonna guess he killed KK's son, or he's the reason KK's son is dead. Or again, I believe KK's son. I believe he only talked about his son in past tense. So again, it's. I would have liked more on how KK figured out the powers. I would have liked more. I would have liked something more serious that went into the Hanya, that went into KK's powers, that went into KK's past, that went into more of this stuff, that gave us more to look at of the game. But I guess at the same time, they didn't want to give away anything, any plot points early. I just almost feel like you didn't need this Prelude now that I've played it. I don't know. Maybe I would have had a better thought process if I played it before I played the game, but either way, guys, I'm glad or at least I hope that you enjoyed this this little sort of interlude, prelude, whatever you want to call it, from the main series. Next video in this, in this playlist, we will be back to playing Ghostwire Tokyo. I still have some work on that video I need to do, because I need to add commentary for about 30-40 minutes of it, because I sort of kind of forgot to turn the commentary back on, so I have to go do some stuff in post. This is basically just a placeholder, because it's going to take a while for that to render and everything off my software. So either way, a little look into what I still have to do in my spare time. I want to say, as always, thank you so much for watching. Social media is in the description. Like, comment, not already. Please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. More next time. Till then, guys, my name's AJ Gels, the Something Game Channel. I'm out.